I am 98 years old, and I was married for 53 years. 53 years to the same man, same bed, same kitchen, same arguments dressed up in different clothes, and the world would call that a success. 53 years, people clap for that number. They toast it at anniversaries. They hold it up as proof that love won. But I am going to tell you something that will make a lot of people uncomfortable. 53 years doesn't mean love won. It means somebody stayed. And staying is not the same thing as loving. Not even close. I loved my husband Harold, but there were years, long years, when love was the last thing holding us together. What held us together was habit and fear, and the fact that neither of us knew who we'd be without the other. And I need to warn you about that, because nobody else will. Everyone will tell you marriage is beautiful, and it can be, but nobody tells you about the years in the middle where it is just two people trying not to disappear inside the same four walls. If you are married right now and something feels off, if you are lying beside someone and feeling more alone than you've ever felt in an empty room, if you are performing happiness at family gatherings while something inside you is screaming, this is for you. I am not here to tell you to leave, and I am not here to tell you to stay. I am here to tell you the truth about both, so you can choose with your eyes open instead of your jaw clenched. Because every woman in a long marriage eventually stands at a fork like this one, and most of us just keep walking the same path because it is familiar, not because it is right. Harold and I got married in 1950. I was 22, he was 24. We'd known each other for 6 months. That is how long we gave ourselves to decide to spend a lifetime together. Less time than it takes to grow a garden. And for the first 10 years, it was wonderful. Real wonderful. We laughed in bed. We danced at parties. He brought me flowers on Wednesdays for no reason. I'd leave little notes in his lunchbox. We were building something, and we could feel it growing under our feet. But then the children came and the mortgage, and his mother moved in for 2 years. And the laughter got quieter, and the Wednesday stopped having flowers. And we looked up one day at 40, and the people across the table were strangers wearing the faces of people who used to be in love. 2 plates, same table we'd sat at for 20 years, and neither of us could think of a single thing to say. The food went cold, and so did we. That is the first warning. Marriage doesn't end in one dramatic moment. It erodes slowly, like a riverbank, one skipped conversation at a time, one avoided argument at a time, one night of turning away instead of reaching over at a time, until the distance between you is so wide you'd need a bridge to cross it, and neither of you remembers how to build one. That is what happened to us. The ground underneath just kept washing away. And by the time I noticed, the roots were already showing. I can tell you the exact night our marriage started eroding. 1971. I told Harold I wanted to go back to school, take a night class in literature, and he said, "What for?" Not mean, just confused. Like me wanting something for myself didn't compute. And I said, "Never mind." 2 words, never mind. 2 words and a dream I folded up and put in a drawer. I never took that class, never opened that catalog again. And the woman who wanted to study literature slowly became the woman who wanted nothing. That is what never mind does over time. It buries you. And here is the second warning. The most dangerous thing in a marriage isn't anger. It is silence. Harold and I stopped fighting in our 40s. And everyone thought that meant we were happy. Look at Harold and Elena. Never argue. Must be a good marriage. We weren't happy. We were exhausted. We'd fought about the same 6 things so many times that we both just surrendered, not to each other, to the silence. And silence in a marriage isn't peace. It is a ceasefire. And ceasefires don't mean the war is over. They mean both sides have stopped believing it is worth fighting for. That is what a ceasefire looks like. No wind, no movement. Just two people standing still and calling it peace. But nothing was resolved. Nothing was healed. We just stopped trying. And the kitchen table, the place where everything important should have happened, became the emptiest room in the house. We cleaned it. We wiped it down, and we left it in the dark. If you stopped fighting with your partner, ask yourself why. If the answer is because we worked through it, that is beautiful. But if the answer is because I gave up, that is not peace. That is a funeral for a conversation that never happened. I sat down to write Harold a letter once, 1984. I was going to say everything, every unsaid thing. I got as far as Dear Harold, and I stood up and made dinner instead. That blank page haunted me for years. I know because Harold and I had separate silences. His was the workshop. Mine was the garden. We retreated into our corners and called it independence. But it wasn't independence. It was two people building bunkers in their own home. But this next one might sting a little. The third warning, and this is the one that cost me the most years. You cannot love someone into being who you need them to be. I spent 30 years trying to turn Harold into a man who talked about his feelings, who asked me about my day and meant it, who noticed when I was sad without me having to announce it. I dropped hints. I cried in front of him, hoping he'd ask what was wrong. He never became that man, not because he was cruel, because he was Harold raised by a father who shook hands instead of hugging, and a mother who kept her feelings locked away. He didn't have the language, and I kept expecting him to speak one he'd never been taught. You have to love the person you married, not the person you wish you'd married, not the potential you see. Not the version of them that shows up once a year at Christmas, when the wine is flowing and the pressure is off. The real one. The everyday one, the one who chews too loud and forgets your birthday and doesn't notice your new haircut. If you can love that person, you have something. If you can't, you have a decision to make, and both are valid. Stay with me. This one is important, the fourth warning. Don't use your children as a reason to stay in something that is killing you slowly. I know women who stayed in marriages that hollowed them out because they said, the children need a complete home. And I understand that. I do. I said the same thing. But here's what I learned too late. Your children don't need a complete home. They need a complete mother. A woman who is alive, who laughs from her belly, who shows them what it looks like to choose herself. They learn love by watching you. And if what you are showing them is endurance dressed as devotion, they'll repeat it. My daughter Margaret married a quiet man who never asked her a single meaningful question in 20 years. And when I asked her why she stayed, she said, because that is what you did, Mom. That sentence hit me harder than anything Harold ever said or didn't say. She learned love by watching me, and what I taught her without meaning to was that love means staying quiet and getting small and pretending everything is fine. Now, I told you I wasn't going to tell you to leave or stay, and I meant it. But I am going to tell you the fifth warning, the one that might save your marriage or set you free. Either way, it is the truth. You have to say the unsayable thing out loud to their face. Whatever it is you've been swallowing for 5 years or 15 years or 30 years, it has to come out not in anger, not in a fight, at the kitchen table on a Tuesday, over coffee, when nobody's expecting it. You say, there is something I've never told you, and I need you to hear it without fixing it. And then you say the thing, I am lonely. I feel invisible. I don't think you see me anymore. I need more. Whatever it is, say it, because one of two things will happen. Either they'll hear you, really hear you, and something will shift. It won't be perfect, but it'll be real. And real is the only thing worth building on after 50, or they won't hear you. They'll get defensive or change the subject, and then you'll know not that they're bad, but that this is who they are, and you can decide with open eyes what comes next. Either way you win, because the truth spoken is freedom, and the truth swallowed is a prison you build one day at a time for the rest of your life. I want to tell you something about Harold, because I don't want you to think I hated him. I didn't. Harold was a good man who didn't know how to be a great husband, and there is a difference, a big one. In his last year when he was sick and the world got very small and very slow, something opened between us. He couldn't fix things anymore. He couldn't provide. He couldn't do. All he could do was be. And for the first time in 50 years, he was fully there. He held my hand for the last 3 weeks of his life every day. Just held it. And he said to me one afternoon in the hospital, "Elena, I am sorry I wasn't braver." That is all he said. I am sorry I wasn't braver. That hospital room was the most honest place we'd ever been together. No television, no distractions, no escaping into separate rooms. Just the two of us and all the years between us. And I knew exactly what he meant. He meant he was sorry he'd never crossed the distance. Sorry he'd let the silence win. Sorry he'd spent 50 years on one side of the kitchen table when all he had to do was pull his chair around to mine. All those years sitting across from each other, and the answer was this simple: pull your chair around. Sit beside the person instead of opposite them. It sounds like nothing. It would have changed everything. That is what closeness looks like in the end. Not grand gestures, not anniversaries, just two coats on the same hook, two lives choosing to overlap instead of hanging apart. So here is my warning, my last chance warning from 98 years on this earth. Marriage is not an achievement. It is a conversation, one that never ends. And the moment you stop talking, the moment you choose silence over honesty and comfort over courage, you start losing each other, not in a flash, in inches, day by day, until one of you is in a hospital bed saying sorry for all the inches you let accumulate. Don't let that be you. Don't measure your marriage in years. Measure it in honesty, in conversations had, in hands reached for, in truth spoken, when your voice was shaking. If this made you think of your own kitchen table, your own silence, your own unsayable thing, share this. Send it to the person who needs to hear it, or watch it together, side by side, and let it start the conversation you've been avoiding. Tell me in the comments, what is the thing you've never said? You don't have to say it to them yet. Say it here first, practice, because practice is how bravery starts. Sometimes the safest place to say something for the first time is to someone who doesn't know you. That is not weakness. That is rehearsal. And rehearsal is where courage gets its legs. Tomorrow morning the sun's going to come up over your kitchen window just like this. And you'll have the same choice you had yesterday. Silence or honesty. Distance or closeness. You already know which one you want. Pull your chair around the table. That is all I am asking. 53 years, and all I needed was for someone to sit beside me instead of across from me. Harold, I forgive you, and I forgive myself for all the things we said and all the things we didn't,